Okay, in this video I want to talk about a couple of things. It's about anxieties, well, stress, anxiety, and a cause of it is that of frugal living. Okay, now I've done videos on this. It depends on which YouTube channel I put it on, but I have in the past about how sometimes frugal living, if you were raised in a dysfunctional family and that's where you learned to live frugal, wasn't being frugal, it was being cheap. And it was neglect, like such as you got a flu or cold or a flu as a child, they wouldn't take you to the doctor, or they never took you to dentist, they never gave you usual checkups unless nothing unless the school demanded it, or they would get in trouble if they didn't do it, this kind of thing. But they called it frugal. They were living frugal. No, that was neglect, in my view. Read the disclaimer below this video on YouTube. But yeah, but that's not really what I want to talk about. It's about the things being learned, being taught, and you learn them, and you can go through your whole life doing them, but it's too stressful. Okay, it's a lot of stress, and I'm talking about me. When I say you, I mean me. You know, this is my experience. All right, speaking of anxiety, in a parking space, I was parked there, and there was somebody had come up after I had parked, and they parked really close to my my driver's side, and they were already there when I come back out of the store. They had parked and were out of their car, so I didn't know who it was. I just saw the big old SUV parked that close, and I get out into my SUV, you know, if I can worm my way into it, and I said out loud, "How rude." But nobody was there. It was just rude that they did that. But then the guy came out as I was starting my car. Sneezing fit there with these allergies. But anyway, so and this guy came out, and I could tell it was probably him, well dressed and everything, and it was a nice SUV, but he had an arrogance, you know. Don't we all know this arrogance? But he did that thing of nodding to me. And anyway, he got in his, and I was I backed up, and he got behind me. But he went into another exit, and apparently thought he was supposed to be in front of me. And I wasn't going to allow it. He was not supposed to be in front of me. So then he followed me. Okay, and I decided I'm going to go on to the other side instead of where you can go to turn to get out. He followed me, so I put my foot on my brake. You know, I turned one more time, and he followed me again. I said, no. So I just put my foot on my brake. And then so he quickly turned the other direction. No. That, you know, stuff like that can cause anxiety. I mean, seriously, the arrogance all around, and I don't deal with that anymore. I used to. No. That's one of the reasons I'm not blaming me, blaming them. People who do stuff like that, they're so arrogant. I think this is one of the causes. Well, I'm fairly 99.99% certain of why I have anxiety. I'm doing videos about various reasons, but that's one of them. So anyway, where was I going originally? Yeah, real life happens in the middle of a video, and it can take me on a different road, that's for certain. Okay, and I was on the road talking about frugal living, and while I'm talking about it, I'm having to turn it off, make different clips, because my allergies are messing up again. And that was one of the things. When I was a child, I used to get sick a lot, and with coughing, sneezing, and they just never took me to the doctor unless it was something I was about half dead. Not just me, any of us, me and my siblings. And if they would have told them, she does this a lot, they would have probably diagnosed me with allergies and given me the appropriate medicine instead of making me suffer. Okay? But these are some of the things we're taught we're not taught about getting yourself to the doctor or the dentist, or having regular checkups, not just every blue moon. whenever you're really almost dead. But it's, some people, and they'll call that frugal. Not everybody who's frugal will do that, of course. I'm talking about the ones who are abusive with it, that they call it frugal, but instead it's cheap. Instead of it's narcissistic, it's abusive, whatever, it is not right, period. Okay, now to get to this part about the anxiety, some of it is because some of the things I was taught was so much about how you have to pinch every penny till it bleeds, that you don't buy anything unless you really need it, and if you don't really need it, there are severe consequences. And that, to me, has caused anxiety, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. Kind of want to keep pointing that out. But yeah, there are severe consequences if you spend an extra little penny, or if you don't pick the penny off the floor. Who knows what's been stepping on that penny, or touched that penny, but yeah, you better pick it up. This whole obsession with money. Like I say, not everybody who's frugal is like this. I'm talking about the people who claim to be frugal, but no, they're just abusive. So this can, if you're around this type, like me, I was around this type, I would say most, if not all of my life. And these are people who are going to insist that you do everything in this fashion, in a really cheap fashion. And, or it can be like in a job. It could be your family of origin. Then when you get older, somebody you marry, or your boyfriend, or your boss, or your, somebody that you're around is basically brainwashing you into believing that you're living frugal when actually you're living cheap and you're causing yourself problems. Now, like I say, not everything that's frugal is that way, but what they're doing is the abusive way. Now, here's an example. I just went to a store where I knew that what these cost. It's folders. It's file folders. Now, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm highly sensitive to things like medicines, to just anything that touches me. A lot of things, okay, overall. But when I touch those, what do they call, manila folders, it's just got such a bad, I don't know. It feels bad to hold them in my hands even. Yeah, seriously. And gives me the chalk fingernails across the chalkboard feeling. Kind of like, very similar to that of those, what do they call those things? Tongue depressors? Like when I don't know if they still do that now, but when you go to a doctor and a doctor wants to look at the back of your throat, and they put those little wooden sticks in your mouth to press your tongue, keep your tongue from being lifted when you're a kid. I don't know if they do still do as adult. I haven't had that happen to me in a long time. But those things always tasted so, the feeling was just so awful. Well, that's the way it is with those manila folders. Almost the same sensation. So I like the ones that they have these days. They're pretty. They have a feeling more, not of plastic, but what is the word? What would it be? But it's not that kind of the same as the manila folders, but it's not plastic. It's in between. Anyway, so I went to the store where I knew they had some that were different ones than the other stores that I go to. And I'm looking for ones that will be different from what I'm using. I have a lot of them, many different designs on them. But that way I separate what I'm doing with different designs. So I know they had at least one different design at this Target store. So I went to the Target and I found two different ones that I wanted. And they're $6.49 for 12 in a packet. Okay? Now some people, they would say, that is just not frugal. You just need to get over it. This is how I was raised. You need to just get over it and spend that for the cheaper ones. You can get a lot more for the cheaper ones. It was never what you wanted. It was what was cheapest. Okay? And if you ever got what you wanted that wasn't the cheapest, severe consequences, and they were going to try to force you to feel guilt and shame, and be stressed out. That any time that you go and buy something, you better spend time to find the cheapest one. You know, sometimes that is so ridiculous. You know, they would even consider, I'm not talking about just, you know, childhood, throughout my life. You go from one store to another to, you know, like some people go one store to another to find the cheapest gas and not even think about how much gas they spent going around trying to find them. I've known people to do that. It's crazy. Okay, but I'm serious when I say this, that some of this just, as I get older, I see how much anxiety it causes me to, you know, you always, I'm saying you, but I mean me, like I said, you know, it's always having to search out for the cheapest of something. And the cheapest isn't, well, it's you get what you paid for. Quite often, it's not better. And instead of spending that other 50 cents and getting brand name on something, no, you get the cheaper one, which is not as good. Not at all. And, or, you know, going somewhere and saying, that's $1 more than I, you know, like to get something to eat. That's $1 more than I expected, so I guess I have to go somewhere else. To do something like that where you go to somewhere else, you're, again, wasting time, money, you know, for gas and all this stuff. And they might not have what it is either. But all of it can be it's so stressful to always have in my mind, pay the least, use the less, you know, least money as possible. And that's not healthy to me. It's not at all healthy. No, it's not for me. It's another one of the reasons I think that my heart started beating really fast lately. But I don't know. I have other videos I'm talking about that. So anyway, I think I'll wrap this up because I have another topic I want to talk about. And I'll do that in another video. So I'm going to wrap this one up. My voice is also going out because I've been trying to do longer videos lately. And I'm not used to talking so much. So really, seriously. I'm even frugal in that. Save my breath. Oh my goodness, seriously. When I start to really think about that, that could be very true. Wow. Anyway, talk to y'all in another video.